Now, what's happening in the West Bank is not the only headache for Benjamin Netanyahu. Fractures in the coalition over promises made for partners in the alliance are widening. Knesset boycott, resignations, also protests all across against his government. Now the question is, will Benjamin Netanyahu stay the prime minister for Israelis? Will he be able to make it? Our next report tells you more.
Israelis have been on the streets for several weeks protesting against judicial reforms, but on Thursday, there was high drama when protesters gathered in front of a hair salon in Tel Aviv, where Netanyahu's wife Sarah was said to be visiting. The protesters blocked the roads outside the salon. Sarah was eventually led outside and left in a car under high security. Israel has witnessed regular protests against the Benjamin Netanyahu government's judicial overhaul plan. The nationwide demonstrations turned violent on Wednesday as the police used stun guns and horses in an attempt to disperse the crowd. However, what caught the attention during the protest in Jerusalem was more and more women joining the protests. And that too, some of them dressed as characters from The Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood's dystopian 1985 novel turned television series. Dressed in red capes and white face obscuring bonnets, the women travelled to Jerusalem by train and marched to the Supreme Court, where they staged a demonstration. Some observers called such protests as moving and inspiring.
Basically, it feels like we can say goodbye to democracy because on one hand, the Knesset will have the ability to pass any law they want. On the other hand, the court will not have the ability to stop anything like that. Any court that would hurt, whether women or LGBTs or any other minority, is going to pass with no one to stop it. And this current government, including a lot of parties and representatives that believe that there is no gender equality, and that women are worth less, so it's really going to damage our status in Israel.
Wednesday was declared a nationwide day of disruption, with some protests turning violent in Tel Aviv. In images not seen in Tel Aviv demonstrations in years, police on horseback tried to stop demonstrators from breaching barricades as traffic piled up. Live footage showed police dragging protesters off the road as demonstrators called out "Shame" and "We are the majority and we're out on the streets." Images of the protest captured dozens of blue and white flags waving in the sun-filled streets. Police employed stun grenades and water cannons in a rare use of force in the coastal city. Police said at least 9 people were arrested. The judicial reform plans include giving ruling coalition lawmakers a decisive say in picking judges. It limits the scope of Supreme Court to strike down legislation or rule against the executive. Critics accuse Netanyahu of pushing the legislation in order to escape the corruption trials that he is currently facing. Netanyahu denies that. He says the trials are collapsing on their own and that the changes are necessary in the light of judicial overreach by unelected judges.
We can't accept violence. We can't accept beating police officers. We can't accept blocking roads. We can't accept threats to public personalities and their families, a thing that is happening at this moment exactly in the heart of Tel Aviv. We will not accept breaking the rules and violence, not in Huwara, not in Tel Aviv, and not anywhere.
Netanyahu formed a government 2 months ago, promising his coalition partners that he would overhaul the judiciary and entrench Israel's control of the West Bank. Critics say the proposals undermine judicial independence. The overhaul has yet to become law, but it has already affected the currency. It has raised concerns among some Western allies about the health of Israeli democracy. The rival sides are digging in, deepening one of Israel's worst domestic crises. The protests have sent shockwaves through Israel and pose a serious challenge to Netanyahu. Bureau Report WION, World is One.